Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 18th, and right now we're looking at the middle of a water vapor loop. We're going to play through that storm yesterday here briefly. We're going to take a look at the forecast for today and the extended forecast because we have some additional active weather coming for the Pacific Northwest. So let's scroll through what happened yesterday. As we went through the morning, we had some thunderstorm activity there across western Oregon. Then we went through the later portions of the morning, the early afternoon. You can see the main show just blossom across Oregon, all the way across Northern California, and then push up across the Oregon-Washington border into Washington. Had some thunderstorm activity across the Olympics in advance of this main system, and then you can see across eastern Washington, Oregon, some very strong winds, some very heavy rain, and just huge amounts of lightning as thousands of lightning strikes rode up and across the region, all the way across the northwest interior, up into southwest BC. And as we went through the overnight hours, they continued on into the early morning across some of the Cascades. But here we are right now. But if you notice, we have this upper level low still off the coastal areas here. So we could kick off a few more thunderstorms as we go through the day today. Now, this is one of the shots I got here sitting right next to the Space Needle on one of my GoPros here. This one went from probably one of the buildings there somewhere around Seattle, and it branched upward here. So working on a video for that. We're going to go over some of what we saw yesterday, and you'll get to hear all our reactions, and I'll try to splice together all the best shots that I got. Let's take a quick look here what the Tempest weather stations recorded yesterday. So I clicked on this random station here for Enumclaw. And if we take a look, you can see 7:24 p.m. and look at just the hundreds of lightning strikes. It tells you the exact time of these strikes and just how far they were from the station. And you can see plenty of lightning to go as we all the way through about what the 10:34 time frame there. And if we take a look out southeast of Greenwater here, again, it must have picked up that same lightning strike right there at 7:24 p.m. And then you can see it went on past 10 p.m. In fact, there was one more lightning strike here right around midnight even there as well. So yeah, very fun to have one of these attached to your place of residence. Click on the link down below to save 10% off if you want one of these weather stations. So taking a look again today, I want to point this out. We do have that thunderstorm threat again here for western Washington, some of the Cascades here and up towards southwest BC, but nothing like yesterday. Now look at some of the peak winds across the region. Look at Pendleton and I-84 there in the East Gorge winning the battle there at 68. That's an incredibly strong gust, especially at this time of year. Look at Chinook Pass, Indian Springs, Crystal Summit there at 66, and some very strong winds all the way through, Fort Lewis, Walla Walla, Yakima, up towards Vancouver Island, Whidbey Island, Bellingham, clocking in with the strong 44, Puyallup 43, and SeaTac and Renton, SeaTac and Portland checking in at 40 miles per hour. And again, there's the thunderstorm outlook for today. You can see if you're going off towards western Montana and maybe Pocatello, Idaho, there still is a risk for some wind there with some of that thunderstorm activity. Now this would be day 2, and day 3 we start to introduce a little bit here across Oregon. We'll watch that here as we go through the forecast, especially tomorrow. We'll break it down a little bit more. But so what's the difference between yesterday and today? Well, we had that negatively tilted trough, and we really destabilized that atmosphere, especially across Oregon and Washington. We warmed up pretty well during the day as well. A lot of places got up towards 80 or 81 degrees, and we had that defluent flow, a lot of the negative tilt here, and we had this very unstable atmosphere moving across the area. And then as we go through today, you'll see this is the afternoon. You can see some of these storms potentially popping up here, but again, it's nothing like yesterday. You're not going to see the huge widespread lightning amounts. So if we take a look at some of the rainfall amounts yesterday, I mean, some of these totals are pretty impressive. You can see, clicking on Renton there, almost an inch of precipitation up towards Mount Lake Terrace, up over an inch. You see some places, what is this, Falls City, 1.5 inches of rainfall. So yeah, pretty wet system out here. And you see a lot of places in some of the higher elevations as well, well over an inch. And looking at Seattle yesterday, officially 4,700 hundredths of an inch of rain. I think I had 56 hundredths of an inch just off to the west as SeaTac, but 79 degrees, it did warm up pretty nicely during the afternoon. It's 1 degree above average here. And, we caught up on some of our average precipitation. Still have a ways to go if we want to be average for the month of August, but we may indeed get there because we got more stuff coming as we go through the extended. So if we take a look at Pendleton, you can see some areas, some of these records are pretty pathetic. The old daily record high for Yakima, for example, was 9 hundredths of an inch, and we got 1,500. So you can kind of see the records there. Nothing too crazy. Lewiston, the record was 0.10, and we got 0.11. So looking at the HRRR for today, let's play this through, and you can see some of the thunderstorm activity. Some of these could still pack a little bit of a punch, but they're going to be more isolated again. Maybe Olympia, the Olympic Mountains, maybe Port Angeles out there, maybe some of the Kitsap Peninsula. It looks like it's staying a little bit west, but you can also see off to the east of Everett here, near Lake Stevens, you might get a thunderstorm right there briefly anyway, at least according to the most recent high-resolution rapid refresh, with some more showers potentially as we go through the next couple days off the coast. So taking a look at the North American model, this one's 12Z, hot off the presses. There goes that thunderstorm activity. Pretty good agreement with the high resolution model. And again, some of these could be fairly isolated, but still pack a bit of a punch. Maybe have a few lightning strikes with them. And as we go on into the afternoon hours, you can see there. But if you back up, I wouldn't completely rule out thunderstorms across some of the foothills of King and Snohomish County there as well, maybe up towards Skagit and Whatcom County as we go through the afternoon. And then we're going to scroll on in towards Monday. You can kind of see the precipitation, some showers across the Olympic Mountains, Vancouver Island, Southwest BC, and then eventually moving across some of the Puget Sound as we go through Tuesday morning with that upper level low still nearby. Now, I want to show the temperatures here as well because this is for today. Not too bad out there. There'll be some sun breaks. You get 76 for Seattle, some upper 70s for the Willamette Valley, and east of the mountains, of course, warmer this time of year. You're looking at some upper 80s, maybe towards 90. But if we go towards Tuesday, actually, this is for Monday. Sorry, this is tomorrow. In fact, let me just back this up one so we can kind of go through that again. That's 77. That's for today for Seattle. You can see Portland 77. And again, similar picture there for temperatures. And tomorrow, same thing. Then we start to cool off a little bit because we got that upper level low trying to kick through as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But then we start to warm back up a little bit here as we go towards the end of next weekend. And we start to warm the temperatures up a little bit again here. But it depends on what this trough wants to do, which we're going to take a look at here in a moment. But looking at the 1 hour precipitation totals, again, some of these could be producing some heavy rain, but they should be fairly isolated as we go. And then you see tomorrow bringing some of that precipitation across the area. We're probably not looking at any kind of amounts like what we got yesterday and last night. Now, let's take a look at the extended forecast. So you can see the European on the left versus the GFS on the right. Here we're looking at 18,000 feet. And, you know, not to brag or anything, but we've been talking about this for about 7 days in advance on the channel. So, you know, if you guys want to know what's coming, there's worse places to tune into for sure. I'll talk you through all of this as we go. And I'm rarely surprised by many of the weather systems that we get here anymore, just because I like to pay a lot of attention to every single model run, especially since I started doing this page. But that just comes from years of practice from working with Alaska Airlines, where I would come into work every single day, and then I'm watching every single model run so I can communicate the best that I can to my pilots that are out there that need me to guide them through weather all across the lower 48 states, all across Alaska, out to Hawaii as well. So I'm well versed in this 20 years of extreme training on watching these forecasts and picking up these patterns in advance. So taking a look here, you can see as we go through the next couple of days, we got this upper level low kind of kicking around here. It kicks through. Then the next one wants to drop down and replace it. And you see pretty good model agreement between the GFS and the European. The only thing is this thing looks like it's a little bit closer to the coastline, so it might be harder to get the big, deep instability back across the region. But you can still get a little bit of negative tilt out of this, and especially if this wobbles a little bit west in some of the upcoming model runs here, then you start to kind of perks you up a little bit there, and you might start to bring some thunderstorm activity across Pacific Northwest again. And if nothing else, this would keep us slightly below average as we go through about August 23rd there. And then at the very end of the run, you guys see some troughing still off across the Gulf of Alaska. But we're going to be watching that closely here for the next few days. Now, if we look at the ensembles, this is European ensemble versus GFS, and this is just the average of all 50 ensemble members. Quite a tool when you think about it. We have 50 ensemble members. We tweak their initial conditions to try to correct for any of our errors in our initial understanding of the atmosphere. And the GFS has 30 of those members, and they all get averaged out as well. So there's that upper level low sitting there across Pacific Northwest, and then you can see really good model agreement with that next one dropping down right off the coastline here. And again, any kind of change in this track will have big implications on our weather. If it drops a little bit further off to the west, then you get a better negative tilt, maybe some more unstable air back across the region versus the upper level low coming right down across the region. But we'll be watching that over the next few days, and we'll break it down. And we go off through the extended, you can kind of see some troughing there across southeast Alaska and some of British Columbia. Now, if we take a look at that, though, if we start to go out towards Wednesday and Thursday, you can see another good slug of rainfall showing up for Seattle-Tacoma. And this, again, is 50 different ensemble members. And you can see those marked by all these individual gray lines. Those are all 50 members. And, of course, they're going to predict something different because you start with different initial conditions, and then you let them run out. Kind of chaotic looking. And then you can see the control run is in the blue. Those are our best guess of what the atmosphere is going to do. And then the green is the mean of all those ensemble members there. So a lot goes into those forecasts. And if we take a look at what's coming through the extended, you can kind of see the initial system here. But then as we drop the next one down, you can see it's showing some decent rainfall amounts potentially here as we go on in through next weekend before maybe we start warming up a bit after that. And you guys have been killing it here. I mean, we picked up so many subscribers here over the last few days. In the last month, we picked up close to 5,000 subscribers. So, and again, thanks to everybody who comes back and checks in daily and watches these forecasts. This channel is not possible without you. Taking a look at the drought monitor, I wanted to point this out as well. Check it out. We got some extreme drought issued across portions of Washington and some severe across southeast Oregon here. We got some severe across Idaho, extreme, and some exceptional across western Montana. So if we zoom in on Washington there, you can see that we just introduced that. Hopefully some of that rainfall, I know we got a little bit out there. It wasn't a lot though. I don't know how much of a dent that's could have put into that extreme drought out there, but it is now out there. And we do have areas of severe drought as well, of course, surrounding that. Here's the 6 to 10 day. Makes sense, right, with the troughing here. A lot of the West Coast below average as we go through August 27th. But if you look at well, let's do the 6 to 10 day precipitation first. Above average makes sense, right, with the trough. Then the 8 to 14 day, they switch things up pretty quickly here. We'll see how this goes. You take that with a grain of salt, of course, at this range, but that's through the end of the month there in August. So it's going to be kind of tough for us. We were pretty well above average for the first half of the month. It's going to be hard to finish the month below average across a lot of the Pacific Northwest. And there's 8 to 14 day precipitation, kind of near normal, equal chances. But yeah, what a storm yesterday. I can't wait to work on this video here. I already started to try to edit a little bit of stuff, so hopefully you guys can tune in for that. I'll leave the newest La Nina / El Nino or ENSO conditions across Pacific Ocean off to the bottom left here, so you should see that as we're wrapping up this video. And yeah, go ahead and check in there because I talk specifically about Seattle since 1950 and what kind of snow they've gotten and what type of snow during individual El Nino and La Nina events. Some interesting data there. So anyway, I'll get to work on that today. There's a tiny chance I might go out and try to intercept one of these storms coming up, but probably not. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day otherwise, and I will do this all again tomorrow, and we will talk to you guys then.